So, let's see what this has next. So yeah, to catch things up with this, I talked about previously that this is a mystery between Justice Leagues and the sort of like RWBY, which I like. I love both as much, and I think it's really interesting. I love more of the mechanics, and definitely some of the earlier weapons where they have fun tricks to them. I think were cool. And someone made a video where it's like, yeah, that kind of tracks. I still like it. The overall concept, the overall idea is overall fun. And I've watched a lot of Justice League stuff, so that's fun. But the last one I did was part 1. So, we're at part 2. What do you think about part 2? I like it. I love it. I think it's really cool. I definitely think this is one of the things that I think is exciting. You have all of these characters going to the other one. And I like how it starts with seemingly this time thing that makes it this. I don't know what that impacts in the future, but it kind of implies that this takes place after the Wonderland one. You also don't have Juniper, which I think is a fun idea and very creative, because the last one kind of dealt with here's RWBY's world, here's RWBY's characters, here's all that one. While this one's being like, here's the DC world. We're not going to bring as many as we think, and we're not going to bring too many people into here. Which I think makes sense, it kind of tracks. You're not going to be like, and then here's the extended, here's all the RWBY characters. Because you had like 8 in Superman's universe, and 8 and 8 kind of makes sense. And even though RWBY has less of a characters, which is sad, because you kind of have, I think, Cyborg, Flash, Vixen, Green Lantern, more specifically one of my favourite Green Lanterns now, because I keep hearing the thing, and it's really fun. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, which is 7. While in this one, RWBY only has 4 characters. And I'm not including the villains, because that kind of just adds 1 to each number. Kind of doesn't change too much. But with this, I think it's more interesting. But, so, the one thing which is important in the last one is that something's happened. What's happening with the powers? Wait, the semblance aren't working? Because you got the last one, the superheroes, and I didn't talk about this too much. Well, I did a bit with more specifically Batman, but their superpowers have turned into semblances. Which kind of tracks, and it does make things more interesting. Definitely when it's like with some that don't have powers, Batman, as an interesting concept, they talk about it a lot. But what about the people with semblances? When we came into this world, they got superpowers. I think it's like super speed, I think it's a strength. It's really fun, and I think it's definitely creative, like transforming these insane powers into our. Besides Snow White. No, not Snow White. Technically Snow White, but White Sneed, who hasn't got powers. Which I think is definitely interesting that in part 1, she was partnered with Batman, who had the inverse effect that he had no powers, and when he went to the RWBY world, he had powers. And it's all about like trying to split, and it's really interesting about like, oh, these monsters are actually coming into our world. You also see some of the villains actually support. It's like, yeah, we don't want this. This kind of destroys the world, and we kind of want to exist. Please. And I love that idea where it's like, well, this is kind of bad. Why? Well, we want to exist. We want to not die. It's a fun idea. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love the idea. Because, like, this is destroying, and everyone is going to die from both worlds if nothing has happened. At least the humans. And they're being like, well, in our interest, we want to survive, so we're gonna help you. Which is clever. But again, this is really fun, really interesting, and you learn a bit more about like the plan and then what's happening and how this is happening. And I kind of think this is kind of non-canonical because you kind of can't skip this and it doesn't affect RWBY whole scale. I don't know. Besides, I don't know when season 1 takes place. Part 1 takes place, continuity in RWBY, which I still don't. I know roughly where it takes place. I'm not absolutely, but I don't know exactly what this does because they mention, I think, stuff to do with escaping Atlas. And then the stuff with the Wonderland place. But yeah, I like this overall. Overall, I think the RWBY one is better because this one you kind of get the know-how. It's not bad, but it's basically part 1 did more characters while this is building up more the mystery, which both ideas I like, but I like people having, definitely when I have one of the conversation of like, oh, whose 2 characters will make a good conversation, I like the idea of like questioning what is, and not having a good answer, because the whole thing with Batman and oh, is it better if I have powers, etc., etc., you can have conversation and arguments and the characters going on. That is not the main point. And yes, as a weird sense, I just know it's a thing, but I just didn't know what else to say as a reference. But it is still a fun conversation, questioning if it's true or false. Me? False. If you're smart enough, you can work around that. But I can get why people say, yeah, at a certain point you kind of do need stuff. You do need powers. But again, that's to do the right thing. But I like talking about it because it makes it an interesting debate. But yeah. So yeah. The next one is going to be a bit shorter than this. This is Bye Bye Earth Season 2. Yay. Another one of the ones that was like part 1, part 2. But I hope you enjoy. I hope you like this video, and good night.